This call is being recorded.
Well, good morning, everyone. This is Phyllis Nash. I am here as one of the 4 co-founders and excited to be here in front of you. Almost 5-year countdown. Cannot believe it. Been reflecting over what these last 5 years have meant, what we've done. And so here we are at the Diamond Factory, where we come together every Tuesday through Friday morning so that we can get started off with positive, like-minded people. And so I'm just going to be before you just a minute this morning. I always like to look at my life and compare that to what I'm doing and, share what I find out of different stories. And in church on Sunday, they were talking about generosity, and generosity being not just, it puts you in a place of being vulnerable. Vulnerable because a lot of times in your generosity, you have to step out of the comfort zone, out of your comfort zone, because you're being vulnerable. And so at the end of the sermon, the pastor asked if there was anybody who had never tithed. And this one woman, raised her hand from the balcony, and she said, "Pastor, I've never tithed." And he asked her to come on down. Now that's pretty vulnerable right there, to be in a church, to be at least over maybe 40, I would estimate her to be, and to readily admit that you had never tithed ever in front of hundreds of people. And when she came down, another gentleman came down with her because he said he had never tithed, and he was well over 40. So both of them have put themselves in a very vulnerable position because, people are probably saying, "Are you never tithed? Are you in church and you never did that?" I mean, just what people do. But they both were bold in that they answered to something and they just told the truth. And by coming down, the pastor said, "You've never tithed?" He said, "Well, I want you to see how it feels." And he gave both of them $100. And then he turned around. He turned around to walk away, and he said, "But wait a minute, I want to do something else." And by the time the pastor had gotten through sharing and saying how generosity works, he said, "God is blessing us so much every day, all our lives, all of our loved ones." He said, "You only have to give back 10%. And when he got through giving them, they both had $1,000 in their hands, okay? And by that time, members of the church started walking up and bringing them money, and came droves of people, just continued. They started off collecting the money in their hands. Then they had to get a bag and start putting the money in. Then somebody else had to get a bigger bag, and they had to start putting the money in. And then church, and guys, I go to a huge church. So people were coming down, giving money because somebody decided to be vulnerable and answer to a call and said something that, "Hey, I've never done that before." And I promise you, before we left there, both of those individuals probably had anywhere from $35 to $5,000 a piece that they were able to take out with them. And so I'm saying this all to say, guys, that stepping out of your comfort zone is always going to be very important. They were vulnerable, and because they were vulnerable, they were blessed immensely. And my question for you this morning: how vulnerable have you been? How vulnerable have you been to go and talk to that new person that you never even thought of talking to, that you might be blessing their lives with the knowledge you have about the products that we have at Akana? You see, because once you bless them, they're going to feel so good. They're going to feel so blessed. They're going to have a new lease on life, that they're going to go share that with somebody else. And not only did your stepping out of your comfort zone, you becoming vulnerable and saying, "Oh, they're going to think I'm this. They're going to say that. They're going to say you in one of them little businesses." When you get over all of that and you go and you bless them by giving them information that might absolutely change their lives, take them out of pain. I can't imagine. That is one of my biggest fears. And I know we're not supposed to be fearful, but that is because I can't tolerate pain. I just feel like if I was in pain, and I know people that are in pain 24/7. My sister was one of them. I couldn't imagine. But if you thought about being vulnerable enough to say, forget about what they gonna think about me. Forget about all of the things that they gonna say. Yes, she in one of those things. Who want to be a part of that? But get past all of that and go bless somebody with the knowledge that you have to help them change their health, to help them change their financial position. And so again, being generous is not just a thing. It's coming out of your vulnerability because you don't know what to expect on the other side when you want to be generous. But also being generous pays you tenfold, 100-fold. And I'm not just always talking about financial gain, but do you know how you feel when you help somebody get a solution to a problem that they've been carrying around forever? You know, we have the ability to do that for so many, many, many people. And I just want you all to be super generous. Think about how you're going to bless somebody else. And yes, at the end of the day, I can only hope, because we did this at the end of the service, I can only hope that they tithe back 10% of what they were blessed with. And I promise you guys, if you go out there and you are generous with the information that you have, with the knowledge you have, you will be given back tenfold of what you gave. Only 10% is what you're going to do when you tithe. But how much do you get blessed for that 10%? If you've never tithed, go try it. You know, I used to think about, oh, I tithe. And you know, that might be a big chunk of money at one time. But as soon as I get my money, I tithe. And guess what? I never miss it. I never miss it because so many things come back because of that. That's the same thing when you're tithing amongst humans, when you're sharing some information that's going to absolutely change their lives. So don't be stingy, guys. Go be generous. Go be bold. Go be vulnerable. And so with that being said, I told you it was going to be short and sweet. And it is short and sweet. And if Dr. Betty is on here, let's talk about what's going on tonight on your call. I don't see her, but let me see if she's here. Dr. Betty, if you're there, unmute and share. You probably been hanging out. All right, I was going to say you probably hanging out at the EE Center.
I know.
Go
right? on. So last night I came out of there after getting something, and I put my food in the trunk of the car, and I dropped my keys in there and closed the trunk.
Oh my goodness! So
yes, I did. No, I didn't. Okay. Unfortunately, I didn't have to spend the night again, but it all worked out. I got some time to spend down there by my lonesome to absorb the energy and really, really set an intention for our center. I was so excited. I'm doing Willie Mooney. Okay. Anyway, tonight we're gonna exchange energies, and we're going to I want you guys to bring your questions. I have no idea what we're going to talk about, but it's going to be product related, and it's going to be focused on what you want to know. So bring your questions and your comments, and let's do it.
Well, I would like to tell you how you bless me. And I've been meaning to do this ever since last week. So Dr. Betty texted me one night last week. It's probably about midnight. Maybe it could have been later with Dr. Betty. But she said, something is going to happen tonight. And I don't remember exactly what it is, but we should turn off our phones. And so I'm like, okay. I told Lewis we should turn off our phones. And so because Dr. Betty said it, I'm just going to be a good steward and I'm going to follow what Dr. Betty suggested. I turned off my phone, Dr. Betty. And the next day, I was talking to Lewis. We were having a conversation, and he said, you know, when you told me to turn off my phone, I slept all night long. I didn't get up. And I said, you know what? Me either. I said, and we just woke up, and it was amazing. And guys, even though we do our drops and our gummies, and that's nothing like that. That's a great sleep. But what I noticed was the same thing. So Dr. Betty, I have had my
Yeah.
phone off every night since that. I had
Awesome.
already
Awesome.
started leaving my computer out of my bedroom at night
Thank
when
you.
I go.
Thank you.
But I turned that phone off. We both have turned that phone off ever since. Guys, we have been sleeping all the way through and getting
Mm-hmm.
up well rested. So that 5G and all of that stuff
Mm-hmm. Yep.
against our bodies. So, Dr. Betty, I truly appreciate you for that. I have been meaning to pick up the phone and call you ever since that, but I'm telling you now publicly. So, guys, turn your phones off when you go to bed. I figure whatever happens during the night, it's going to still be there when we wake up in the morning. And you can handle it then. But that has really made a difference in myself and Lewis.
Mm-hmm.
So, thank you very much.
Awesome. You're welcome very much, and thank you very much because that's my benefit, that people know and can protect themselves and live a healthier, a better life. So,
Mhm.
see you guys tonight.
All right, guys. Well, what is
Doc-
it? What you can do? You're going to go out. If
Hey,
somebody,
Phyllis,
And
uh-huh.
I was just finna say to Dr. Betty, you can talk about Mercury in retrograde tonight. That's what you can
oh,
talk about.
oh yeah. I will. I sure will. Thank you, Dr. Roz. We'll do
Hey,
it
it takes a team, guys. It takes a team. Thank you, Dr. Ryan. So what you
for
gonna
real.
do? You're gonna go out and push. And I'll be in the EE Center tonight. And guess what? Snooki gonna be there too. So she gonna get some of that good feeling. She's gonna
Good energy.
say yes. Bye, you all. Take
See you
care.
guys. Have a great day.